Welcome to the show. You look incredible, like a dessert that owns a yacht.
That's exactly the vibe I was going for. You know, sweet but slightly out of your tax bracket.
Mission accomplished. How does one even shop for a suit?
Gold on my neck, gold on my hand, purple with the stripes, that's the walk of a man. Sidewalk shining, city lights humming, every step I take, they know a boss is coming.
Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
Police or zombie problems? Your tortoise won't stop breakdancing?
Try blue tape.
The miracle of our age. Yeah!
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me.
You know what? I talked to your mayor.
I'm ADA protected.
That umbrella guy with the mic in his hand, dropping truth bombs like they contraband. Masked up tight, yeah, about to roast. Who's the grilled up villain you love the most? Diamonds in my grill and they can't even spark. Fleas just skimming low key from the trailer park. I'm on fleek, yeah, my vibes are spree. Dropping this verbal lobotomy. Calling out the fakes, yeah, I see their disguise. Talking big game, but it's the cheapest lies. Doing walk-bys, about to expose foes. The weakest of the meager flows. Diamonds in my grill and they can't even spark. Fleas just skimming low key from the trailer park. I'm on fleek, yeah, my vibes are spree. Dropping this verbal lobotomy. Calling out the fakes, yeah, I see their disguise. Talking big game, but it's the cheapest lies. Doing walk-bys, about to expose. The weakest of the meager flows. Diamonds in my grill and they can't even spark. Fleas just skimming low key from the trailer park. I'm on fleek, yeah, my vibes are spree. Dropping this verbal lobotomy. Masked up, walk by my pen's a blade. Slicing through the noise that the schemes have made. They're paper thin, yeah, the stories don't last. I'm building my empire while they're stuck in the past. Diamonds in my grill and they can't even spark. Fleas just skimming low key from the trailer park. I'm on fleek, yeah, my vibes are spree. Dropping this verbal lobotomy.
Ooh, indeed. What's up, folks? Oh, man, look at how small today. Let's move us around. There we go. Man, that was terrible. What's up, folks? How's it going today? Welcome to a Saturday edition. Really, with some very interesting stuff. We've got a few things that I thought were kind of fascinating, like failing on the court orders again. The whole maybe you shouldn't stalk people. Maybe you shouldn't, not only if you're going to, I guess this is two layers. First of all, stalking's a big no-no. Like right off the bat, we all know that, right? I mean, we understand that, yeah. But if they're going to do it, maybe they should get the right person. So I've kind of enjoyed that one. I saw that yesterday and I thought, man, are you kidding me? Did they just go after the wrong person again? Because they had this weird thing about going after George, especially. And as far as filming her driving down the road, they think they can just do whatever, and God, they keep getting the wrong person. It's not surprising, but it's also, I don't know, it's just funny. They really think that they were onto something too. That was the funniest thing. They really thought they had George at something, and we'll go over that. Well, also last night we had a visitor last night. I don't know how many of you know about this, but this is kind of fun. Let me pull this up on Facebook actually. So we had a visitor last night. That's right. You remember the ecosystem? They always tell us all the time. They never watch our shows, right? Never. I mean, you've heard it, yeah. You've heard it. Never watch our shows. Never. I never tune in. I never watch any of those shows. Yeah, never catch any of them. Oh, you're right, Lisa. You're my hero, Lisa. We never watched that show. What monsters? Well, yeah, so check this out. Look, here was one of the wonderful Gifto moments. And, I realized that the Gifto was probably not meant for this specific bird, but, this is more, this is humor. So humor makes the Gifto worth it in the moment, too. I think they're really mad because we have been doing, as you know, we've been doing our bench memorial for the last few days. We've been having a lot of fun with it. They even brought it up not too long ago in their live stream, and I think they've been coming over to kind of I spy with my little eye. Something that begins with November a year ago. That's right. Look at that. Stacy, what's up, the Nat? Oh man, aren't y'all supposed to be making cult songs for Lisa? Isn't that what you all do? I mean, I thought that was their job. I thought it was to really stay busy making those cult songs and not coming over here listening in. But I do think that this really kind of debunks something, and I posted about this too. It doesn't just debunk the idea that they don't watch the show, which they most definitely do. But it also debunks this thing about how they tell their chat that we don't allow them in. We have blocked them all out. Now, there are a few that have been blocked out because when they've tried to come on, they've just been channel disruptive, to the point that they would want to get a channel banned. But for me, as the mods especially can attest to, I don't slow down the chat. I don't slow down anything. I like the chaos of the speed of the chat as it rolls with lots of people. I also like the fact that anybody can join in the chat. You don't have to be a subscriber to the channel. I actually don't believe in forcing people to be a subscriber. I understand why some people do that, although I do think it is interesting in the ecosystem that it doesn't just, they don't limit it to just subscriber. They make you be there for a week, Sometimes every now and then they screw up and forget to put their limiter on it. But yeah, isn't that interesting? So they tell people all the time, we boot out everybody. Hey man, they come over here. Sometimes they even get their membership on. Isn't that beautiful? You know, like I said, maybe they'll learn something too. Maybe they'll learn something. If they're not open to actually listening to the truth on a situation, maybe they'll learn something about protective orders. You know, like third party protective orders, indirect third party protective order violations, because they talk about how things aren't, and yet let me show you something. So they decided yet again to go back to the cameras. This actually happened 2 days ago. Last night, you know, we had that big drop off, so we actually had to check that out. I cannot blow. This is a moving video, so that's why I will not be able to blow this up. But I did save it into something so you could at least see it, you know. But let's see if we can. Well, let me see. I can full screen it a little more. I can make it a little bigger with full screen there. So you can check it out here. Like I said, this is more fence video. This is the middle of the night. And I'm going to read you stuff with this. Now, what's really funny about this is they think they have George on camera here. You know, now, again, to do this, you pretty much, you got to be violating a protective order. This right here, if nothing else, is surveilling a person for sure. Now, you remember, people are allowed freedom of movement. They are allowed to go out. They're allowed to do their own thing. And if we were just talking about cameras on a fence, that would be one thing. But with these cameras, we have heard multiple times 2L say that these are actually their cameras. They've used those words. They definitely have access to said cameras. So that would mean that a party that has a protective order against them has a third party with access to cameras, and the only thing that they do is they attempt to spy on Jeremy and George. That's the only thing they do with it. They post about it. They post all the time about it. In fact, like I said, this is right off their show. Now, what was really funny about this is when they pull it up, I'm going to read you the transcript for it too. But when they pull it up, you know, and they start playing it, they're actually talking to the background while they're doing this, while taking a minute to pop off. Because I did save the clip just in case it did disappear. You know, because they will ghost these clips sooner or later for sure. But you can see already, you know, they're like, oh, yeah. And look, oh, my God, they're slowing down. Oh, my God. Now, I want to show you something about the image, first of all. As the people go by, you'll notice something about this picture right off the bat. It is pitch freaking black out there. You'll notice, like, look up at the sky. It's just a sheet of nothing. Same thing over here. You notice it's a sheet of freaking nothing. And they were like, oh, look right here. This is George. Now, the funny thing is, this is not George. Nor was the other car that they filmed going by before. That also was not George. This is someone else. I'm not going to say who, because that is, you know, that's not something you shouldn't put a bullseye on anybody, but they put the bullseye, I'll say, on the wrong person, I guess is the best way. And I'm not going to help them remedy the bullseye. The point is, they think it's George. They're stalking them, and they're like, look at them. Oh, they're slowing down. We remember when Lynette Preston complained. First of all, you notice something here. Like when this person drives by, you'll notice one consistent factor. They were saying, as they drive by, they start to brake. No, they actually, it looks like, are utilizing the brakes the entire time. They're driving. They are driving in the middle of nothing. Have you ever driven in the middle of nothing, by the way? Because I have. I've driven out there many times. In fact, I had a terrible ordeal where I smacked into a deer once in a 1999 Jeep, and it was not a fun trip. It was not fun at all. You know, those deer, they come out of nowhere. And I'm sure you get all kinds of crazy out there. You also, according to them early on, they used to talk about how Jeremy and everybody associated with him would fly down this road, and it was a danger to a child. So now you have people driving by slower, and now they're driving by stalking, according to them. And on top of it, and like I said, I want to read you stuff. They say that this right here, I'm going to show it, and then we're going to roll it backwards. They say that this is scooting all the way over to film. Now look at the vehicle. Look at how it's setting in the road. Now you'll notice this curvature here. This is a camera trick. You see this? This is not the car moving. This is the way the camera is placed, where it goes from embiggened to smaller. Because if you look, they're trying to drive in the middle of the road because it is not much of a road at all. I mean, look at it. And if you look at the room where the tire is, if you look right here, they're not actually moving over. You can see if you watch the tire, don't watch it optically for size, because again, the size will throw you off in the curvature. But watch right here. You can see so many people drive the exact same way that you see crap on the side of the road here. And then you see that there is a lane. It's a one lane that is formed as cars have passed over it so much. So when you look, they're really driving down what has essentially become the lane. You see it here. Look, there's crap here, cleared off area, crap in the middle, cleared off area, crap on the side. You know, that's typical. That's usually how roads, after a while, they end up clearing out and you end up driving by them. So you can see them. They're not scooting over on the road. They're not doing anything at all. It's not that, but they made a really big deal out of it because they're stalking Jeremy and George with this stuff. So let's see what they had to say about it. As again, this kind of stuff is most definitely breaking court orders. Most definitely. Like, it is definitely against protective order. You know, going out of your way, stalking people with that. And again, here we go. So check this out. This is the transcript of, well, that night with Stupid. Oh my God, too. Oh, geez. You know, the grossest thing about it is the singing, too. I mean, yes, very wonderful. But you can see where they start talking about how George, you know, George driving by and more. They start putting together this weird conspiracy. Look, it'll change right through it. So look, check this out here. So guys, remember I was talking earlier about, you know, how George never drives by. And when they're saying, you know, driving by, no driving by, speeding, you know, she just drives by normal. You know, she doesn't drive on the wrong side of the road. Oh my God, what idiots. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, well, you know, through this, look at her now. You got brake lights and all, you know. Oh man, look at that. That's crazy, right? You know, I think they're doing that just to antagonize, you know. Now check again. Look at the like I said, you look at it. You look at what's actually going on. Like, again, this is stalking big time. And we'll continue with the transcript in a second because they're going to come up with the most insane narrative to suggest what went on. Again, like I said, yes, are they riding with brake lights? Yes, they are for sure riding with brake lights because it is pitch black outside. You know, they are driving at a very slow rate of speed on a really crappy little road right there. Look, they also are high beaming. You can tell. Like, look at how much light is hitting the road there. You know, you can tell how dark it is. Just look at them. Look at how much area they light up on their own. So they're high beaming out because they can't see crap. And like I said, you can see it is pitch black out there. But they're like, look, they're swerving over. Now again, they're playing the audience because the audience again is seeing how when it enters here, it's like how cheap cameras, especially any camera, but especially a cheaper camera, you get that warp bubble. You know, anything that happens on the outside of it, you can see it almost, it doesn't look like it's traveling in a straight line. It looks like a contour. See it there? But when you watch the road, that's how you tell. Are they moving off of that? Again, just look from the edge of the road out and watch them drive by. Same distance, all the way. Because again, lane cleared there. But conspiracy theory. They're going to get into the crazy conspiracies of how that's George and why George is driving like that. Okay. You know. She's harassing. Look, they're saying up. She's driving, harassing, moves right to the center of the road and drives out normally. Why is she driving like, you know, when she drives harassingly according to them, then she starts to drive normal afterwards? Like I said, the car didn't move. It's just a stupid angle that they have. But apparently they're talking to morons, morons that can't look at a picture and actually decide something for themselves, you know. But they say, well, the reason that it happened was because George got yelled at by Jeremy, according to them. Now, what do they base that on? Nothing. There's no proof of any of these crazy conspiracy theories, but they're like, again, this is what they call vetting sourcing. They come up with an insane conspiracy how George normally doesn't do this. Again, wasn't George to begin with, still not George, but it's apparently George was driving normal according to them before, and now George is swerving to the side to record, and it's proven in that video according to them. And they think it's because George got yelled at by Jeremy saying, I'm the only one driving like that. This is the first time she's ever driven like that. So what this tells you here is that Stalker, they watch a lot of film of these people driving by on the property. Isn't that wild, by the way? I mean, they're telling you point blank, yes, we watch them driving by all the time. Who is not George? We'll just call them not George. That's the best way. Like I said, if they want to note who that is, I made sure I found out who that was. And if they want to note who that is, that's cool. I don't feel comfortable putting a bullseye on any of their employees because these insane people, they already target their employees enough. So with that, I'll just go with the not George, you know. But yeah, I do think it's funny. The who is not George. I like that. They didn't know who George was before. That's a good Volpe joke. If you missed out on that chapter, Mr. Volment, he's such a good journalist that he didn't know who George was. You know, he covered this. He was making commentary about the protective orders and stuff, but he had no idea who, quote unquote, George was. He had watched all the videos and stuff, he said, but he couldn't even tell us who George was. So that's a good joke. I like it. Who's George? Who's not? By the way, too, they were talking about filming in the courtroom. You know, that's been a conspiracy theory that also came up in their live streams. It's come up a lot lately, and I'll mention this while I'm right here. So you probably heard it. I'm sure the ecosystem has heard it. Jeremy, he films in the courtroom. He does this and that. Now, there has never been any proof. Again, just like anything else, there's never actually been any proof because there's never been a film that has come out with a judge, except those that are recorded by the actual court. But they have decided to promote that narrative all the time that happened. Meanwhile, as far as doing things that get you in trouble in a courtroom, there is somebody in the ecosystem that did get in trouble for that kind of stuff. And I will refer you back. Again, I might pull this up later. Let me see if I can find it right off the bat. I know I have it. God, there's so much of this stuff. But Volpe actually ended up getting in trouble and being told that he could not participate in court because he and some of his co-conspirators, on his other BS, they end up getting themselves caught not doing the smart thing. You remember when he had his YouTube channel and he released recordings from one of the courtrooms that proved that he was 100% sitting in recording, and it was a different case, but still it proves these are the people that record in the courtroom. They do other things they're not supposed to. You also had the Fats again in that stream admit that they were listening in the other day. They were like, oh yeah, we heard it because we're witnesses. Now the witness setup, I'd be very curious. I really think that should be brought up to the lawyers involved, because the witnesses are not supposed to be sitting around listening to everything. They're not supposed to listen to everybody else and be biased by things and whatnot. So for them to be listening in, as they admit, that seems like a little bit of a, yeah. I wonder how that supposedly worked out. But anyway, let's continue here. I mean, there's a lot. Their streams, I've started looking through them, and I also picked up a certain, what's his name, Guapo. Took me a minute to remember his fucking name. Like some of these people, they may matter to to the overall things that are going on, but some of these people register very little in my mind. So I forget some of them. I did go through that last Ray live stream. That was pretty gross. We'll talk about that too in a minute. But anyway, going back to this. So I think this is the first time ever that George drove like that. Maybe it was Germ driving a car or asked. And then they're like, well, yeah, that's what I thought at first. They were like, yeah, that's what I thought. But he would have had his hand out of the window. At first he would have his hand out of the road. It was like, what? Hand out of the road. And that is transcripted right. It was like, no, out of the window on the road. It's like, okay. Actually, it's pretty funny because what they're telling you there is they can't make out the driver. They're telling you they can't tell who's driving. And when you look at the film again, so we're going to look back at that, you can see why, because you can't make out who's driving. It is a mess. Look at this. I want you to really look. And then if you zoomed in, you see much more of the same. Look at this right here. I mean, look at that giant shadow. Oh my God. I feel like I'm in an episode of that show Supernatural. I've been watching that again now lately. Oh my God, it's one of those smoke monsters. It's a smoke demon. I mean, really, look at it. It's just this big blur of nothing. That does not look like a person driving. Oh my God. That's going to be the new narrative, by the way. That's not even a human being. That's Jeremy taking his real form. He's a monster. You're gonna have Topher pop in. He's gonna be like, so what you're telling me is that he's they're gonna be like, no, Topher, you can't call him that again. Oh my God. Look at that though. You can't tell who that is at all. There's no way to tell who's driving that vehicle from this nasty freaking footage. Too bad. If you're gonna have cameras out there, tell those idiots to clean them off at least. This is a damn shame. I mean, these cameras are a mess. They are. They are a mess. If they're gonna be spying on people, at least spy on them with a clean camera. You know what I mean? But I mean, it is amazing that they continue to allow this, because again, this stuff absolutely is third-party violation. All they want to do is talk about direct contact. They want to talk about direct contact from the first party, or they want to talk about direct contact from a third party, but they don't want to talk about what counts as protective order surveillance violation. So, with a protective order, you can have surveillance violations. Listen to this. When a restrained party uses cameras, like security cameras. Here, I'm going to pull this up for you, okay? Because they say that this doesn't actually happen. So let me just pull this up for you, okay? So let's look up a protective order surveillance violation, just to make this really clear. All right, let's talk about the fun times. Now, this is pretty damn clear. All right, so this is what a surveilling violation actually, what it states about one. All right, violating a protective order by conducting surveillance. You can follow around, you can gather photos, or check this out. So see, this is the kind of stuff they look up for that. Or when you, let's see, give me 1 second here. I gotta pull this up, give me a minute. Damn it, I lost my search term. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Security. All right. Yes. So when you violate for that, you can go through and look again. They with indirect contact. So look at this. Check this out. Now there's a lot more, but when you get into indirect contact, you can have cameras, smart doorbells, apps that monitor the protected person, which counts as prohibited contact. Targeted surveillance. When you are solely looking for petitioners, staring at their property. See, if you're using a camera to either solely monitor their areas, like their property, or you are solely monitoring for them, which is what we're seeing here, because that's all they do. And they talk about it. They actually expose that. That's an issue. That is a real issue there. Intimidation too, which is when you have cameras and you're letting people know that you are watching them. You are watching them, which creates an air of fear or intimidation. You're giving this to people that are posting it online and using this as talking points. These are absolute freaking violations. I mean, it's so crazy. And on top of that, so, another thing that they talk about, which is stupid because they don't understand it, is the legal use for petitioners. Now, petitioners, they can use this stuff for evidence collection. Cameras, they are critical tools for documenting violations and proving breaches of protective orders. Film away, film away, film away. That's right. You are allowed anything as a protected person. Again, when it tells you and it talks about this, it warns the party that has a protective order against them not to do specific things. I mean, it's nuts. And they tell you about what is off limits, like trying to record in 2 bedrooms. You cannot trespass. Like I said, you can't trespass someone's eyes. If I'm driving down the road and I can see into your home, if I'm holding a camera the same height as my freaking face or my freaking dash cam, well, then good luck. And like I said, they keep trying to say, well, here, I was checking this out. I enjoyed this too. You talk about debunking something, by the way. So I was really looking at the videos that they had put up from before. They were talking about Jeremy Hales, and they were talking about him driving by and the height of his camera. And I noticed something about the height of his camera. Give me 1 minute. I got to roll back to where this was. I had it locked in last time, and then I moved it off of there. So give me 1 second. I have to lock it again. So I should have noticed something here. 1 minute. Here it is. All right. Now, if you look here, if you look at the camera, when you zoom in, my head hits right on this area, unless I am laying really far back in my seat. It just depends. I may lay back in my seat, but you can't really, you don't do that in these giant trucks as much. This arm up is setting about where my face is. You can't trespass my eyes. And look, from head length over, you can see over parts of this fence, which are absolutely nuts. We know that these people, they like to say that they hide behind fences. They're trying to shield themselves. They're trying to make sure that nobody sees what they're doing. Yeah, except that's not actually what happens. There's also here's some other stuff on unlawful surveilling. So violating a protective order with surveillance, such as secretly filming or tracking someone, is a serious offense leading to criminal charges, fines, jail time, potential GPS monitoring, etc. Now, what would constitute a violation? Unlawful surveillance. Unlawful surveillance is using cameras, listening devices, or tracking technology to secretly watch, record, or follow protected persons or their property. Now, again, if they were just using a camera to record the road, that would be fine. But they violated by giving access to the cameras over to the FATs. They have been able to, and again, they keep talking, because when they talk about driving by, like I said, when you read this here, what you learn is this is something they do a lot of, because they talk about George and how she drives. In fact, they note how she drives out normally. I would even make the argument that potentially, since they brought up Brian and Tina, I would potentially argue that they may have access to video of them leaving the property as well. They may be stalking them all the way around. Plus, we don't know if those 2 cameras are the only cameras at all. They may be trying to play coy. They may be giving there have been some, I wonder, with legal advice, I hope to God that none of the people that have been lawyers or currently are lawyers are giving them any medical or any bad legal advice, telling them that they can totally tape there. But I wanted to show you folks that, because again, they pretend that these aren't violations. Now, ultimately, like I've said, the only people that really pay for this stuff are going to be Lynette Preston and John Cook. And these folks, they don't care. In fact, they have dug a hole deeper and deeper and deeper for these folks. And I don't really know how they climb out of it at this point. I think, again, these people, they have quite a few reasons not to climb them out, which they talked about the other night too, which will be fun to talk about as well. But they talk about Jeremy, they thought that was Jeremy. So they thought they were doing surveillance on Jeremy at first, but they decided again that it was George. And they told the world that. They told the world also that she was yelled at by Jeremy. Again, they create these false narratives, and they're doing it in the name of Preston and Cook, which is freaking wild, man. So now there's another one driving like that. Now she's totally in the road. She's driving completely, going the wrong way she's calling it their side of the road, which is she's calling it John and Michelle's side of the road, which, like I said, if you want a real fun view of that, watch Thomas Collins drive down that road, or watch the Fats drive down that road. The only time that you can force your way over, and if you force your way over enough on the side of the road, you can actually maybe let a car by if they both eat grass a bit. But you can tell that is not a two-way road. And in fact, like I said, when they talk about sides of the road, there are no markers on the road because of the size of it. You can't mark that and try to clearly identify that thing with sides. We've seen the cops drive down it too. That's the other thing. Even with the cops driving down this road, that's I'll pull that up one more time before when we leave this, because I want you to look at the side of the road thing, and you can clearly see it's her. Maybe they should have been like, you could clearly see it's a her. Maybe. Because really, like, lie, man. I know she's doing it. She's doing it. Either she got yelled at or she's being a bee. Now, again, like I said, one more time to look at that, to put it squarely in your mind. This violation narrative that they keep trying to produce. And it's while they're fundraising. Right now they're fundraising, and if numbers are correct, well, interesting, very interesting. The numbers, one of the things that people can keep up with are how many things sell out on wish lists, for example, and they get prices of that. Yeah, if those numbers are correct, we're talking about closing in on what, $5,000, which they say they have another doubler plus anything they're gifted. I mean, these people have a small audience now, but they are bilking big dollarinos, and they're using this kind of stuff to do it. So they still are using Preston. They may put Preston in jail over something over it. And again, there he is. Good luck. Take this to a court and tell them this is a violation, by the way. Tell them it's a violation of a non-existent protective order, because they don't have a protective order against them. So you tell them that somehow in this way that Jeremy and George are violating when this isn't even them. They also say that this is filming, which maybe that's I don't know. I can't really tell. Like, that might be a camera, but it could also be an instrument on like my panel. If I don't night light, I've got the GPS thing in the middle of my my dashboard. And if I don't black it out, and if I don't put it on night mode, then the thing lights up. So it could be a camera, but you can't even tell. It's like looking at mud again. But when they talk about lanes, your side, my side, where exactly are the sides? Could somebody explain that to me? I mean, if we're driving in the ditch, I can tell you which side. But if you're talking about lanes of traffic, where are the lanes of traffic on a road like this? Here's a hint, there really aren't any. Again, these are the kind of things. By the way, I used to, what's really fun, my uncle lives out in property like this. He really used to live out in the middle of nothing. And he raised soybeans, amongst other things. But I used to go over there when I was a kid, and I used to love getting in his combine and driving around. Now, combine is a monster of a vehicle. You think a tractor's big, combine is just a monster of a vehicle. And one year we had all the gas pumps. Usually you have some setup where you can refuel on your own, so you don't have to go anywhere with it. But one year we had to do something. I can't remember exactly why. It's been too many years. And the gas pumps, they were either empty or something. I don't remember. So there was a place that we could fill up. We'd have to drive down a ways, and I got to experience driving a combine on a road like this. That was, now luckily I did not meet a car because they were remote, but I kept thinking, man, if I meet a car here, what am I going to do? Because with the combine, it's like a vehicle, plus it sticks out all the way where it's riding both sides, and they don't have how we would understand it as old ones. They don't break exactly the same. So I've tried that out, and that's something. But even in a regular car, driving by these, I'm sure everybody at one time in your life has gone down a small road like this that's meant for traffic both ways, but it's definitely not marked for traffic. Because I mean, what are they going to do? Unless the little people in the walls are driving cars down that road, that's not working out for anybody, By the way, speaking of something else today too. So this was kind of interesting. We're going to hop towards something, and then we'll see about hopping back. Give me a minute. Let me see if I can open this. Let's see if it's going to cooperate. It's being jerkish. So let me see if I can get it to open and cooperate. If not, I'll open it as a file. And somebody sent this over, which I do appreciate, by the way. That was very nice of them. But here's a transcript from another thing that happened today. And this was, I guess, kind of interesting because they ended up, it was a live stream talking about 2L. It was done by Guapo. And with this, give me a minute. With this, it does not want to lock onto it either. That is weird. I've never seen it not want to lock onto a Word file. That's really weird. Man, maybe I'll post this. Maybe I'll just post the damn thing. I swear. Part of it's this computer. I've finally gotten another tower started on the setup. I've been very slow about it. Let me see. Give me 1 minute. I know somebody posted this. I saw them post it. So just give me a minute here. Let me see if I can lock onto it. I hate how, by the way, groups on Facebook, one of the things I hate is that if a person posts something, if they post it in a group, which groups are great, by the way. Gross, man. Facebook is always, do any of you use Facebook on the regular, by the way? I'm curious about this because Facebook is always trying to give me some kind of I'm going to say, not, it gives me some thirst baiting stuff all the time. And I wonder, I don't know how many men out there, especially. I figure it might be different for men or women. I'm not sure, but I'll show you this while I'm looking here. Look at this is the road. You notice that there? I like to, and the discussions, they've been talking about lawyers lately. I want to look at that picture while we're discussing this. And if I run across it, that's good. If I don't, I'll have to, like I said, I'll have to lock it in later on because this is stupid. God, I hate this freaking setup some days. Again, for live streaming too, one of the downsides to it is if you use any platform, I can't use, here, let me see if it's logged in now. Oh, there we go. Got it. Now you see, this is all for like one sentence. Okay. So I apologize. It took me a minute to get there, but I couldn't get it locked in on it. It wouldn't lock on the picture. It's just been stupid like that lately. Not really sure why, except I don't know if part of it's the computer, but I think, that shouldn't interfere with the platform itself, the third-party platform locking in. But regardless, here it is. So you see a lot of talk about blah, blah, nothing, right? A bunch of garbage about nothing. But through this, you have, again, this is about Lisa. You have them come back. Another thing I had to get back at you with, I don't know if I want to say it online, but it's something to do with legal funding or something like that. I don't know. We can definitely figure out something out that way. Yeah. So they're talking about wanting to get legal representation for Lisa. Now, I thought this was interesting considering I thought Lisa was a lawyer. I thought that she was mistaken by so many of them out there that she could actually be a lawyer for herself. So why, if she is such a great lawyer, are they talking about getting her legal representation? You actually had Ray say something about getting a lawyer for us all too, which I find fun as well. Tuesday, let's see what their thoughts are about that after Tuesday, by the way. Let's see who's left standing in the ecosystem. Let's see who gets kicked out. I guarantee you, again, I'm going to shield this. Remember, when I'm talking about this too, I want to make a point clear. I'm not hyping Tuesday for you guys necessarily. I'm trying to tell the ecosystem, oh, there's something they want to see. Because it's going to be amazing. I'm telling you, all next week. That's going to start off the fun. And through next week, you're going to find out some insane stuff. I'm talking about next level, blow your top, ecosystem wrecking ball kind of stuff. It is going to be glorious. And that is no false bravado. This is probably the biggest thing that we have run across in this entire story so far. And it will break part of the ecosystem. Very much so. You watch. It will. It's going to. And they're like, there's no bombshell. Watch. Next week is going to be glorious. And then I want you to mark that statement. I've been telling people over and over again, there will be no bombshells. Like I said, next week, we start Tuesday. Oh, it's going to be something else. But it's funny, though, because, one of the things, I'm actually surprised they haven't tried to lawyer grift yet. I think they'll do it. I think they'll start lawyer grifting after the holidays, because the lawyer grift will get in the way of the Christmas grift that they're doing. By the way, Ray, too, it's gross. I'm going to be very careful in the way I say this, because I thought something I saw from them was disgusting. There's someone that is a listener there that has experienced extreme loss, and it's terrible for them. Anybody out there, it's a terrible situation to deal with that stuff. They kept bringing this up, rated over and over and over and over again, which would be very uncomfortable. And then he tells them to go over and to get 2L to fundraise for them. And I thought, are you kidding me? As many times as we have shown you, I mean, again, you know, they can call them projects or they can call whatever. But the reality is that, again, the last thing that we just talked about, the memorial bench. And again, their answer, by the way, while we're doing this kind of stuff, laughing at them about this, what is their answer to this? Oh, it's on the way, and it's none of your business what happens with it. It's none of your business. All you backers who were told that it would be your business, it's none of your business what happens. If it finally triggers them to do something, great. But I don't know, because ultimately there has been no movement on that for 13 months. And if you go and check out Tizzy's videos, Tizzy did a great job bringing up things about, for example, with that one, it's not just the lack of movement, but the excuses. Remember, the item was already supposed to have been ordered. And it was already supposed to be shipping. And then it sort of just disappeared and never showed up. And then, you know, it's been crazy to listen to. And remember the way that all of that kicked off, by the way. The way it all started was because there was supposedly a memorial that was up, which was quite literally a no trespassing sign on a little bitty 2x4 and another 2x4 just sticking out of the ground with a cheap little flower thing on it. I mean, when I say that too, I'm not talking about, ooh, look, you know, like a roadside. No, this thing here, you're talking a few bucks. It was definitely more about trying to send a middle finger and less about memorializing a person. And then they turned it into a drama factory by saying that Jeremy Hales stole their shitty little whatever that was beside the road. After they said that, they got people to raise, again, they raised quite a bit of money on that. And after raising money about it, anytime people bring it up, you either get blocked, or if you're like me and you have a really loud microphone, then apparently you're just some kind of monster. These are the answers, like I said. Now, I mentioned this yesterday, but this is the same transcript that we were talking about with what we just saw. There's a lot in here, by the way. But they know, well, it's Megan and Tug. I don't know whose channel they're on or whatever, but they're talking about the memorial bench. Like, oh my God, it's none of your business. It's nobody's business, man. Well, you didn't figure that when you were blaming someone for stealing something and saying that you needed to have a new one. You didn't think that that was some private matter then, and that the family didn't want any drama with it more. That's a bunch of bullshit. After the $4,000 disappears, and maybe more, because there has never been a real accounting for that money, ever. Just like with any of the other things, there has never been an accounting. And people are okay with that, and it blows my mind. They say, oh, the family's going to do it when the family wants to do it. And that's it, period. 13 months. I don't know how to get this across any better. Do you remember last December? Do you remember last November? I'm not talking about the holiday itself that pops up. All right. Do you really remember a year ago? Because for me, as I get older, I don't remember them as clearly anymore. They're just a blur of items and days, and because they become really hard to reach back to. I mean, we are talking about a year. When you really think about how long a year is, 1 year sounds, it doesn't sound that bad, right? 1 year, 365 days sounds a little a little worse, 365 days, no movement at all. You can't blame that on poor shipping or anything, right? 1 minute. But when you start getting down to the nitty gritty, we're talking about hours. Let's go with that. If we're talking just a year, remember that's more than a year now. We're rolling up on 13 months. As with a year by itself, that's 8,760 hours. 8,760 hours. How many live streams? How many times have they gone out and tried to point the finger at people again that have a protective order? How many sponsors have they found time to try to target? How many businesses? How many times have they tried to parlay with the police department so they could do something to people that don't even fucking know, don't care? But they can't follow through on this. And when people bring it up and laugh at them because they fucking rip people off, you literally psychotic grifting. And yeah, fuck yeah. Everyone else is grifting but them, right? It's gross. Like I said, I don't grift off of people's dead relatives. I don't use them as a bludgeon. But I find that is one of the ecosystem's go-tos. They like to do that. And it is so bizarre. Oh my God. They brought up benches a lot in this too, which again, we'll look at some of that. Let me pull up my device here so we can go through some of the discussion points. Through this too, I always like looking, the gang is all there. They shout out the gang and they're always there. Always the ecosystem, always the John Cooks, all of those people. But what's amazing about this, now, I want to remind you of something with this beforehand. When they talk about creating let me pull this up. Give me a second. When they talk about creating a business in order to to rival and destroy another business, that's what they're doing here. Look, they're talking about Christmas dollars, Christmas funding, how they're going to get double matching funds. So all of this stuff that they're doing, it's predicated on this talk about making money. In fact, if you roll through, you want to see how closely these things are intertwined. Here's them talking about give me money for Christmas, give me October, right there. That's how it rolls. Then they get into again the Topher talk about how calling someone a PDF file. Like I mentioned this with Megan, but I told you I would cover this a little bit more. Chisel the word warrant on the bench. That's right. Then the ecosystem won't get within 1,000 feet of it. They'll be afraid to steal it. They'll be like, oh my God, that is a bench warrant. I know what they look like. I'm a lawyer. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Now, I talked about this a little bit last night, but I want you to understand, if you missed out on how this came to pass, they had the first get together with the ecosystem where they stared at security cameras and watched Jeremy drive down the road in a George that wasn't a George, just like we had a memorial for for a bench, the bench that never was. Well, you had the George that never was too. They when they were doing that, they brought on a 19-year-old. This 19-year-old, in the aftermath, they have said that the 19-year-old is autistic and does not understand. That was the first thing. Does not understand what he's talking about. So they brought someone on to the panel and told them all these terrible things. And they wanted their opinions. They allowed them, but they can't understand what they're saying. Oh, that doesn't work. So they had to change, right? They had to change that off. Then they tried to also play the doesn't understand the word, because during the whole discussion, he actually picked up on the the thing that they try to tell people, which is staring over fences, watching little girls, you get the message in that, right? You get the message of they're calling you something. And this guy was like, yeah, he's a PDF file. Well, now they're on it's just an opinion, that he can come up with his own opinions, which again, as I said, the ecosystem differs on. I will let someone else cover that document or whatever if they want, but it's pretty fascinating how you have some ecosystem people that are like, that is the end all and destroys lives. And others, for this guy though, it's an opinion, a personal opinion that's not actionable. Oh yeah. It absolutely would be actionable. I think, again, as noted, and you guys, we've seen this subject come up quite a bit. The thing about the signs and what they said, that was so damaging that you didn't really need a monetary note of how damaging that was. You remember that? I remember that little discussion. We didn't have to have proven damages just because everyone understands how damaging that is. So you can't sue, as they keep saying, because it was just a statement. Well, anything's a statement, Everything is ultimately just a statement. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. It was just a statement. Okay. Well, there's a lot of lawsuit about just a statement. Now, again, they want to go with opinion-based. Everything. If I say, well, it's just my opinion that, like I said, I will call people creepy pieces of garbage, whatever. But there's a line because people have they've been sued because of that and lost. It's not that they've been sued, by the way. Let me make that clear. Anybody could sue a person. It's that they've lost over it. But they wanted to know that he's over 18 but under 21. Now that doesn't matter. We're not talking about smoking or drinking here. So that actually does not matter whatsoever. Again, my thing on this, by the way, they shouldn't have had him on there, period. That would have been what I would go with. They shouldn't have had him on, period. Wanting to load the deck, talking smack about someone that he doesn't even know a situation with. And they say he can't even understand it. They shouldn't have even had him on there. That's insane. I mean, again, we're not talking about somebody that accidentally butted in, like I have people, like I have kids that'll come through, but they're not in part of this conversation. Then they wanted to go through it. He retracted. And there's no lawsuit there. It's nothing. What it proves is the message that this idiot has been sending for quite some time is that this guy is so many terrible things, and all of that, it amounts to him being called a PDF file. It proves that, absolutely proves it. It's funny too. She thinks that she can't be sued, and guess what? He can't sue me for that either. He's already suing you. In fact, he can just add to it. He can add to it. So they've bet a lot. Remember when they said that that he couldn't sue? Remember when that happened? They spend a lot of time also on subjects they don't understand, like homesteads. A lot of the time, which this stupid gives me a headache. So I'm not even going to spend their time going through the arguments for all of that. I do like, however, again, the whole idea, they keep going back to the fact of the barn dough. Now with the barn dough, they tell you, whoops, they start talking about money through here. Like, where was money? How was money going to be brought up? What was going to go on with it? And they said, he said it has to do, she's going to be arrested for money in someone else's name. And she's like, prove it. You can't prove that I ever picked up money in someone else's name because it doesn't exist. None of it exists. Okay, we'll see. We will see what happens with that. But it's kind of funny. They're telling the people who gave money, it was never for another person. It's actually for her. In fact, I pulled out, now this is crazy. I pulled out in one of the discussions there, they were trying to be obstinate assholes. And they said, you know what? Lisa could just build a barn anywhere she wanted to. Because, really, all she said, this is really what they said on their show. No joke. I marked it on one of their other chats. She could build a barn somewhere else because of the wording and the phrasing that she utilized. All she said was they were working on a barn. She never said it was for anybody. She could do whatever she wanted. I was like, no, you were crazy. So they're saying, that's my money. That is my money. Like I said, the money is not given in Michelle or Lynette's name. It's not put in her name whatsoever. Also, he said he's selling off the Walrus golf cart. Oh my God, that made me laugh. But they get in, again. Permit. Although in talking that shit, they tell you that the framing, it doesn't have to have a permit. It doesn't exist. You don't need permits for it. It's like, what? Do what now? What a bunch of idiots. Oh my God. These people are so dumb, man. I like how they really don't like the words anti-hales. They prove this quite a bit. See, I like to cover these from time to time just to show you what the little trigger points are. When they're going through, they tell you, they call us anti-hales. They call us that. Oh my God. It makes them so mad because that's what they are. What are they pro? They're not pro anything. They just fucking make anti-hales. At least embrace it, But they tell you in this same thing, look, calling someone a PDF file is non-actionable. It's opinion, period. Huh. Again, they miss out on the context with everything that's going on. Adding someone to a panel of a show already being sued for trying to destroy somebody's business and reputation, throwing them into that and having them call someone a PDF file, maybe that would be a problem. With that, too, they're like, look, though, this is where they get into it, though. I do have a question. It raises a question. Him mentioning that and trying to go after Topher, you want to go after it? Oh, well, it raises a question. Why are you filming over a fence? Again, they're trying to, talk about him being this thing without having the stones to use the word. Why are you trying to get footage? What's it for? What's it for? You know exactly what it's for, but they're trying to say, oh, PDF file. I like that. I like the little dance there. Because all of this stuff, ultimately, it ends up, you see how the topics change so fast there. I always like this, because it's just a word barrage of nothing. There's never anything brought up with evidence. Anytime if they bring up anything, stalker videos, well, that was something. But I do like, well, they tell people too, about property, for example. See, they switch to it right here in these minutes. We go from, look how much we jump around. Topher, property. Oh, by the way, he mentioned property. The property that with the bankruptcy, like, oh, and if he wins, and then they start telling people, well, he's never won anything. I'm like, well, she does owe him money already. She does owe him for a little problem in Ohio. And I'm gonna guess that, again, come see me after Tuesday and you tell me what's, like I said, left of their stupid little conspiracy. See who loves who. Let's see who's belling who out and what. Now, give me a minute. There were a couple of other things. The stalking thing, by the way, doesn't come up just once. It comes up multiple times. Stalking property, stalking property. It's so weird, you know? They also, weirdly enough, they accuse him of bribery. YouTube bribes. They accuse him of trying to buy in to Otter Creek and try to sway the the elections there. It's insanity that's through here too. I marked part of that. I don't even want to get into the insanity of that. I do like the Megan crying. I think that's funny. But they get into the filming and watching George, or who they think is George. Look. It comes up. Remember the image that I showed you and the timestamp to that was at 2 hours and 52 minutes. So they actually brought them up multiple times through this, you know. And you see them talking about that right through here, you know. Remember the other day I showed you, I didn't show you the day they got back here. How it was known that they got back. By the way, they admit to stalking there. Oh, yeah, we knew, even though he said that, you know, that's a trap, by the way. He's allowed to have privacy. They're allowed to say that we are not here. And again, a person that a person that has a protective order against them is not somebody to put out in public or have somebody put out in public when you come back. You can obviously understand. Even the stupidest people should be able to understand why that would be some kind of issue, right? But they bring up George's vehicle with that. You know, they're talking about, you know, how it was known that they got back because they were driving by the house, right? You know, because they own the property across the street. So they're allowed to use the road that runs down their property. But hey, you know, they did it in George's vehicle. And I told you, George doesn't do what Jeremy does. George doesn't drive on the wrong side of the road or close to the other side of the street. George doesn't stick your arm out of there, any of this, right? It's only that Jeremy did. Remember when I said that? Guess what she's doing now? She's filming. She's driving by, basically, almost on their grass. This is, look, that narrative comes up. They're almost on the grass. You saw the pictures. I'm not going to bring it back up, but that's supposedly on the grass there, driving even slower than Jeremy. First of all, again, not George. Second of all, not on the grass. Third of all, middle of the night. Did you think that someone pointed that out? Is she being a bee? Or did Jeremy yell at her and tell her to do it? Because we got that on camera now, too. And I was like, holy shit. Well. I'm like, so you're not going to harass people. But if anything, the images, you know, what I said, the dates, that's complete harassment. I'm like, are you fucking that stupid? Again, it's making them money. The story makes them money. It just happens to not be true. As I said, they find somebody that is not Jeremy or George. They stalk them. They were told it was not George. They still stalk them again because they've gotten their vehicles confused. and it doesn't matter. They threw a fit too, to tell you how much they watch. They threw the fit, like I said, and I'm sure Megan will enjoy talking about this, breaking it down in much detail. They threw a fit about how when they went to have her struck, Leslie did, how she made a bunch of money. She made a bunch of money with it. And that really, really upset them. I also like... I like this here too. She calls herself the PR team on accident. Look, she said, so my point is she's saying that the Hales, or actually she said that the PR team did that. And then I got it on her thumbnail because it was in the description. And she's like, probably, so it's a false accusation right there because I didn't do shit. Wait, so you are the PR team? That's an admission you're the PR team? That's amazing. Yeah. That's like when they get upset. When I'm talking about anti-Hales, and they're like, how dare they talk about me? So you are anti-Hales? That's what you're saying? Are you sure? I love it. I love it. I love that they admit to that kind of stuff. I mean, they talk, though. They spend a lot of time going after Megan Fox. A lot of time trying to also... They are very down with Leslie taking aim at her family. They are 100% okay with destroying people's lives just through accusation. Any kind of proof with anything that she says, no. Now, if they would do a little digging into the person that they sent, but then again, that doesn't help the bottom line. It doesn't help the bottom line at all. They spent, look, this is all Megan. Look at all that. All Megan. There's so much Megan stuff in there. By the way, I found this argument to be fascinating too. So in the arguments that they utilize, they were very mad because Topher being called Sloper, that's apparently bad. Very bad. But calling someone else a PDF file, that's okay. I thought that was a really good message too. Then it goes back, Megan. Let's see. Megan. Oh my God. Megan Tug. Let me see. Where were we? What was that one? Whoop, I got ahead of myself. My bad. No, here it is. Megan Tug. That's where we're at right through here. This is all Megan Tug. I don't know who he's on. I'm not sure what's going on there. But look at all of that. I mean, that's crazy. Then that's when we start getting into the memorial. Finally, I'm showing you the insanity to this mess. How it's just all it is fucking anti-Jeremy Hales insane talking points. This is all memorial. This is how bad the memorial talk pisses them off. Oh, Megan and Tug. Oh, your leader, your boss. He stole the memorial. Oh, we have the video proof. The video they said they won't share though because it doesn't help. But as far as the memorial now, the reason you can't see it because the family doesn't get involved with all this drama. Now, if the family wasn't involved in something, you said that there was the theft of a memorial. You raised thousands of dollars in their name attacking another person. But it's all private. It's their private life. Again, this is all how they convince idiots not to ask about money. Meanwhile, they say too that they've never had a request for anybody to give back money, which is absolutely not true. I know one person alone that they gave they give $1,000. They asked for their money back, right? I believe after they didn't get it, they went, since nothing was ever delivered as a product, I believe that was brought up with the bank or whatever. But you also had only me said that the money that gave was not for these people to give it to those other people. So that is asking for the money to actually be given to who it belonged to. So with this stuff, if you ask, it's all private. You're not entitled to any proof whatsoever. And it was never anybody else's money to begin with. It was actually hers to do whatever she wanted with. It kind of blows my mind. It's one of the weirdest things. God, man. Let me see. There's a couple of other things. I'm trying to remember anything else that I want to add into here. God, it takes it takes a hot minute to go through all this stupid too. A really long time. Oh, there's the 56K talk. Where is that? 139. Look, this isn't marked. I've got a device in front of me that has it all marked. That's how I'm keeping up with what's on here. I don't have it marked on this one. I have it marked on the device so I can read it. That way I mark it. I make notes for myself. I kind of love it. I kind of love being able to do this, The permits, though. So check this out. Money, a lot of this stuff is about money. A lot of money, defending the money that's theirs. That's what they're telling the world. They're talking about permits, oh man, permits here. And when the subject of permits comes up, she says, you know what? I spoke to 2 people recently about said permits. I was told the same thing by them, that, the permits aren't on me. They're on Michelle. Actually, there's money, quite a bit of money, but they're not for a permit. Now, she tells you, weirdly enough, during all of this, she tells you that the money for the barn dough can be used for whatever. Remember when I was showing you the part about the framing earlier on? In that, she makes the point saying that whatever she decides the money's for with the barn is what it's for. Like, unless it's the permits, it can't be for the permits. Oh my God. I love keeping up with this because it's so bizarre, They say they created this whole fraud thing, the 56K. They created the whole thing. There's nothing. They're the ones that keep saying it in their name. I have proof. She keeps saying she's going to say, man, fucking sue. When you have communications with the guy that gave it, you have a lot more than that, let's just say. But when you have those, and we'll return to this subject, that particular line of everything we have, we'll return to that. I think we'll return to it next week. Just keep that earmark too. When we go back to that, I think that'll be a fun discussion. But they're like, he doesn't have any proof. No proof. Nobody can even send him that proof because there's nothing came under the names. There was no LP, no HG, I guess. So never gave any money under anyone else's name. This is we are now. Why does this matter, by the way? We've heard this line of discussion before. Well, the heat is amping up because remember again, the initiation of the barn, the talking point of it, came in October of last year. It was right at the middle of mid-October. October the 16th was the first donation that we can track that came in. But the giant donations start rolling around the 20th. So when they're talking about all this stuff, and remember too, they've said publicly that only $18,000 of all that money is for the barn. Because even though the fence was paid for out of gift cards, when money was sent, they get to earmark the money for whatever project they think it's part of, and the money doesn't transfer over it's divvied out. So if they say it's for the fence and they finish the fence and there's $50,000 given in the time where they say it's quote unquote for the fence, then they get to keep the $50,000. Wild, isn't it? I mean, it's a wild talking point. But I love that because they say there's no proof. There's no proof. Meanwhile, the only people who it stole is the memorial bench because that mofo stole it. He stole it. Oh, man, you know, he's got here kind of mentioning it a little bit here and there, but his buddy's managing it. He's the one who stole it. They have video proof. They're going to debunk his ass live for everyone to see it 24/7. They're telling, by the way, they're not talking about the one video. They're saying they have live feed on Jeremy Hales. They have live feed around that area 24/7. So they're telling you again, the cameras are theirs. Now, again, this goes on for 3 hours. I'm bored with it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But they do get triggered by everybody that covers this. Again, they bring them all up. You know, I mean, there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit. They also, I did like this one talking point here. They did tell people that people need to check the laws on doxing. You know, when folks like they really, I couldn't believe this, by the way. They're like, you need to check the laws on doxing, you people who make videos. In the same live stream where they again put out where a certain, they called him the little dog, you know, Miyagi, where they live. Now, how did they get that information, by the way? They got it because of donor information. So they took donor information, they weaponized it against a donor that doesn't agree with him. And while they're talking about how they also, I did like one other thing, I guess I'll put in here too. They're talking about Pacer and how Pacer works. And they were telling people that when you pick up papers on Pacer, you're not supposed to be able to go out and to make money with any of that. What? First of all, people can recoup their costs. They can pull it or however. And then, yeah, absolutely. Like if I pull a document and I cover it online, I may make money off of that. So I can absolutely. But they were trying to tell people that you absolutely can't do that. You can't do that at all. I was like, well, that's weird, you know, because what that tells me is that you all don't use Pacer. That means that you're morons. I think another big donor ditched them as well. There was something about that in there that we'll talk about on another day. But I think I've hit my wall for tonight. I look through their stupid, and I think I'm done for the night. It grosses me out listening to them too much. Fallen Hero, thank you for the gifted membership, Fallen Hero. I appreciate you, my friend. Always, like I said, I'm covering so much. They spend so much time burning this one group or this. Give me 1 second. This one business and this one group of people that either work with Hales or associate. I mean, they spend all their time trying to flame through that and watching it. Like I said, I go through it and I laugh about a lot of their stupid, but sometimes when you look beneath the veil of it, it is so insane. I especially notice it when I, like I was saying, I notice it when I look at Ray's stuff. Ray's stuff really, really hits me with that. It's just the level, it's so weird and obsessive. Like it is obsessive, creepy, you know. And they actually, through this, through his, first of all, he's all over the place, much worse than her. But look, you see talking points. Let me actually bring this up before I finish. Give me a second. Where is that? 31. Let me pull some stuff up here for you real quick. I want to show you this real quick while we're talking about it, because these weird narratives that they come up with, they're so bizarre, you know. I think I hear a little one come. Just a second. Hey, who's at the door? Yo, who's at the door? Oh, nobody. Check this stuff out though. So when we get into, what is it, 3013? Wait, this is not the right one. I was like, wait a minute, I've got the wrong one opened up. The Ray ones are so dumb. Like he names them about the same thing every time. I gotta grab the right one. Give me a second. He puts in here. Actually, let me just read this to you. He was talking about how Otter Creek, he was talking about outsiders, and he was talking about people being born with a silver spoon in their mouth, how he came from nothing, therefore. And I was like, well, that's interesting, because I remember them all dumping on people that don't have anything. I remember them, attacking people and calling them hodunks and uneducated and all these other wonderful, wonderful talking points. One second, I got mute. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to check something real quick. Here, I found that though, actually. I wanted to pull this up because they were talking about election influencing. They were talking about, again, Jeremy Hales. And I mean, this is Ray. Ray is such a freaking loon, man, when it comes to his stuff. But some of it is just so hateful. I mean, the man is freaking hateful. And it blows my mind. But he talked about, let's see. He went into the Mary DeGroot thing. The Mary DeGroot, like having a stroke, how that's Jeremy Hales' fault. Let me pull this up on the screen here. Finally, I have it. It took me forever. Nope, that's still the wrong. Damn it, why does it keep locking on the wrong one? I swear this is driving me nuts, man. Yeah, it won't lock on. I'm just going to read the fucking thing. That irritates me. So they said, for Mary DeGroot, they bring up Mary DeGroot and say, oh, Mary DeGroot, like all of that was Jeremy's fault. John said, so they bring up John in there saying, yeah, John, he backs that up and says, yep, she had a stroke. She's now in a walker. Essentially that's Jeremy Hale's fault. So John there yet again, in the middle of something where, is he supposed to be out there? Is he supposed to be talking shit about people? Is he supposed to be violating protective order? No, but that's okay. His buddy Ray, he likes to pick up the slack for criminals. Apparently he loves felons. So like, why would anything change, right? Why would anything change at all? Then they talk about, then he goes into talking about how Hales loves the misfortune of others. In fact, that's why he does these terrible things, and that's why he starts to aim at small channels. In fact, he says, if you're on the channel they're donating, they call you up if you donate money. And they go after you if you don't. It's how it reads. Don't donate money. If you do donate money, they pat you on the back during the chat. But if you don't, they attack you in the chat. It's like, what? And it just gets crazier from here. Okay, this is really reading the chat. So a couple of minutes later, talking about Otter Creek. And he said, Jeremy Hills came out and said that Otter Creek was awful and how things were much better in Ohio. Now, they don't mention the fact that he was probably talking about, stalking orders and how Otter Creek doesn't actually do anything about people trying to, stalk and do terrible things to you. That would be something I would have a problem with too, just to be honest, If I had a protective order, I would want them to watch my back too. But again, what do I know, right? What do we know there? But they said that, and this is the guy that was telling everybody in Otter Creek how well he was going to be able to take care of them. They would, all of a sudden they'd get money. He'd teach them how to make money. He'd do all these great things for them, right off the bat. And he didn't do that. Essentially, he comes in to this little town. This is what they say. He turns the board upside down. They influence the election. They get away with calling people names. Apparently, calling people names is terrible in a small town. Why? Because most small towns, it's pretty hard to get away with that because so many people are related in one way or another. They have the person. So again, if you were to say that about most people in small towns, they would deal with you. That's kind of a crazy thing to say, don't you think? That seems like a weird threat, and it's not illegal for people who really believe in supposedly freedom of speech. They certainly don't believe in calling people anything, right? But then he supposedly came on his channel and he said, blood doesn't mean anything. I mean, this is real. I'm reading right here. Okay. Then they talk about him again. They were like, we can prove this because he's mad at family. He had a divorce that was like lasted 10 years. By the way, it's really weird. If you fight for your kids and stuff, if you actually put up any effort, then you're a monster. If you didn't fight, then you would be a monster. There would be no win. But he supposedly, Ray, according to them, was like, he stole money from his children's. And then he decided he was going to come after me. He's going to go after the witnesses for Michelle. That includes the Michelle's Ohio. He said that's what he's going to do. He's going to sue them. He was going to record it. And if there was something he could sue about, he was going to sue them. Now, is that right? Is that fair? That you can't tamper with witnesses? Look, that's actually, first of all, if people are brought in as part of a conspiracy and they try to lie as part of that in a courtroom, that is not witness tampering. If you're like, yo, I'm going to sue you if you get up there and lie about me. That's absolutely not witness tampering. Just to note, it's such a strange, again, their understanding of law it blows me away. I do like, by the way, too, like John again. John, first of all, the first butt hurt, though, I saw on his channel was, these people over here, they say that they've helped me before. They helped me. They never helped me. They never did anything for me. And I was like, well, I remember a couple of people helping him with thousands of subscribers, but those people, they never did anything for him. Then John comes in a little later and he's like, oh, John, how you doing this morning, John? Good morning. One thing, John, I'm not sure about court stuff. Why don't you explain, why don't you tell me about this court stuff here? I thought, well, that's weird. Again, John is not supposed to be talking about all of that. Now, Ray brings up being born poor, too. This is why he hates Jeremy Hales. I was born poor. My parents had less than what John and Michelle have there in real terms. Okay. So John and Michelle now, they matter again because they don't have money? I'm confused, by the way. I'm very confused on the narrative with John and Michelle over what they do or don't have, over do they matter or don't they? Because I seem to remember Ray telling them that, Michelle was dead weight, kicking her to the curb, saying that she didn't matter. But now she matters again, apparently in that. Oh, there were 6 of us. We lived in a little 3-bedroom house. But it goes on with that. And then it goes back to Germany. He's like, and if you're raised with a silver spoon in your mouth, you may not have what it takes to get through life when little things come up and set you. So I'd rather be poor, which I was, than born rich and not appreciate things. Because money destroys you. Again, this is all about journey and struggle. And I'm like, dude, you people shit on people that come from nothing. You attack them. Because the hodunks, that's the whole point. It's about attacking people that don't have. And it just blows my mind. But anyway, I wanted to read that stuff to you. And then there's this whole other thing that comes up through, and it kind of grosses me out. I don't really want to look at it. But if I'm sure other people saw it too. I'm imagining they're going to run a little donation time for some people that, well, let's just say that those people, they're going to rip off another group, another person that's, they don't deserve it. Like the people that are out there that are, whether they back these people or not, they don't deserve to be targeted like these weirdos do. They take from them. They take real from them. And I cannot lock on. I was going to push my redirect in. Damn it, I can't get yellow flash as redirect in. Yellow flash. There it is. I'm going to redirect tonight, by the way, to yellow flash. But hey, Jay, I've had you up there for a while. Thanks for the 6 months. Yay. Thank you to whoever gifted me a membership. Indeed. Love Giftos. Thank you, folks. Appreciate that. SF, thanks for 5. There's no third brake light coming up. Probably not braking. Let's see. Let me look at that again. Let me look at it. I mean, it's possible. It's hard to. I mean, that's possible too. I don't know. I'm looking at that car. Even if it is, again, like I said, with that particular stretch of road, is bad. This is not somewhere that I would want to have to travel with tonight. Going slow down a road that has nowhere else to go. If that's a crime, then there are a lot of criminals. But again, it doesn't matter. The only people they ever show on this road are the people that they think are Jeremy and George. They make the point, again, that they are stalking Jeremy and George. That's been their go-to. It's crazy. But yeah, right, even if they are breaking, if they're not breaking, it's funny. If they are breaking, pitch black, middle of the night. I look at that and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It is dark out there. You notice too, like they're combing through any surveillance so they can find something, and they'll find more, I bet. So Jay, thanks for the 11 months there. Appreciate that. Good to be here. Love you guys. Hey, love to you too. Appreciate you. Thank you. I was going to cover this stuff last night, like I said, but that big old thing popped down, that. So Ring, thanks for the 13 months. Thank you. I appreciate the 13 months themselves. That is a huge statement. Year plus. Thank you for that. It's awesome. Rob, thanks for the 2 months. If you have a paid membership or What the Hales, you know who that other black vehicle and just how big the difference. Yeah, they are. And well, indeed, that's the thing. Like all these vehicles are different, but it doesn't suit the narrative. Ultimately, here's the thing too. This narrative that they've put out, that it's George and she's doing these terrible things. They'll never retract that it's not. And even if by some weird coinkydink they decided they would, damage done, damage already done. They've already taken aim. They've already tried to ruin somebody. So what else are you going to do about it? But yeah, the difference in vehicles is massive. And thanks for the 2. Oh no, the bench. I know the fits about the bench. It's been pretty funny because, like I said, the bench thing. What I'm talking about putting out there, that has nothing to do with anyone else's family. And they damn well know their bench had nothing to do with anybody's effing family. And they know that too. Ultimately, when you don't materialize something for 13 months, you never planned on doing it. And again, if we motivated them, if they actually do materialize, you know why they did, because we gave them shit for it. Enough that, again, if a bench pops up that we bring down there before they pop up a bench, I mean, think about how pathetic that is. I'm kind of thrilled with the idea that we can just put up a memorial to make fun of the fact that they never put up the thing that they said they would. I love it. SF, thanks for the 2. These cameras are brought to you by. They definitely, this kind of stuff. If you were talking about a place that really did follow the letter of law, these people would be in jail for this. They would, because this right here, they said that they sent these videos over to the police. If the police started looking in and found out that they had some third party posting this should put Michelle and John in jail. For sure. They should be arrested for violations, but look what we're dealing with, right? Debbie, thanks for the 5 giftos. Thank you, Debbie. That is awesome, by the way. Much appreciated. And like you saw from, before, where like AJ was like, hey, AJ's World, by the way, appreciate you again. But hey, look, do you see people with gifted membership? They appreciate it. And sometimes one of them hilariously, like I said, meets up with somebody that doesn't want to be pointed out, and I'm sure what's funny is every now and then when stuff like that comes up, with the well, here, let me pull that back up here too. When certain people, they end up getting a gifted membership, some of them damage control. I was over there collecting evidence. Actually, maybe you should listen a little more. Maybe that would help you out. Maybe you would learn something. Maybe you would learn how crazy some of this stuff is. I mean, absolutely crazy. Again, is it normal for a bench? It's just a bench. That's it. A memorial bench. Is it normal for that thing not to deliver in 13 months? Is it normal to have another project, a huge one that you hyped, that you made quite a bit of money for? Is it normal for it not to do anything for 14 months? Is it normal for the person putting that together to say the reason they haven't done it is because of permits, because somehow permits are the responsibility of the person that owns the land, but the money can be used for anything that they want within the project. They said themselves. They say it while you're on a stream with them. Doesn't any of this ever relate? And you're like, wait a minute, this isn't good. Doesn't it bother you that if $10,000 is given again in a project for building up something for a family that is supposed to be in need, you don't spend any of that money on them? It ends up going into the pocket of a person, and the project that gets paid for buy gift cards and more, and the actual money, none of it goes to the kid you're supposed to be helping. None of this registers, because that's disturbing to me. You know? So thank you again, Debbie. I think giftos, first of all, they hook up people. They say, hey, thank you for being here. And on top of it, sometimes they might expose people to really harsh realities of truth that maybe they don't want to hear. I love it. It might say, yeah, they were listening. So strange little badger, thanks for the 5. What boggles my mind the most is the actual amount of people actually believe this BS. You realize so many had single-digit IQs. I know when you dance around some. I mean, again, you can go out and you can go on a stream that's being sued right now and just call people PDF files all day long. No problem. It's just opinions. Oh my God, Debbie. Also, it dropped 5 more, Debbie. Thank you for that. That's awesome. So Debbie dropped 10 giftos for people. Thank you for that, Debbie. That is very awesome of you. Travis, thanks for the 5. I watch hockey fights on Facebook, and at the bottom it shows if you want to F tonight, kind of it does in the marketplace too. It's incredibly annoying. Yeah, I get. So on Facebook, this is what I was noting. You get all these thirst trap videos like you're talking about. You know, I get just ridiculous amounts of them because I don't watch anything else on Facebook. The only thing I do on Facebook is I go in, every now and then I take it back. Every now and then I'll see a video of like a alligator or something come in, and I might follow somebody watching like a crazy jump over a building or something. But from the beginning, because I clicked the box mail, I had some of the some really, like I said, baity material. You know, it's like, ooh, here's a little bait, you know, and it's kind of it's very inappropriate material, and it makes you wonder. Also, on top of that, I've noticed a trend on all platforms but Twitter, actually, right now, where they're pushing gambling apps heavily again. You know, for a while you had an explosion in them, then they were contained. You know, I got a lot of blowback, but now they're back again. They're trying to push. You know, you can bet on anything, and God, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Kiwi Crypt Keeper. I'm not saying, you know, it's the whole point too is there are like kids or anything, they could be out there. They can have themselves influenced by gambling. I hate that. Actually, I've gotten to where I hate things like Pokemon because Pokemon is gambling on cards. Oh, you got this tiny, tiny chance to complete that. Go online and watch videos of how much money it takes to complete a set these days. Having open freaking 500 or 600 packs of cards. That's gambling, man. You know, it's wild. The Kiwi Crypt Keeper, thanks for the 10 there. Tug, check out the car cam videos of when they towed Lloyd's camper. Or it's parked on the side of the road. We'll give you a great reference. Yeah, for the roads with. That's true. That's true. I need to go back to that. Actually, you know what gives you a good reference, though? You can go to any of these people's like videos where they're driving down the road. 2L's been on that road. And when 2L went down that road, 2L did not drive on one side or the other because there really isn't one side or the other. 2L also, you know, when 2L was stalking around, really showed us what stalking looked like. So if you want to see how that looks, you should go and see how 2L, how they drove down a road while pointing out the schoolhouse and stuff. That'll give you a real point on it. But when you see them riding down these tiny roads, again, the hypocrisy of it is, Jeremy, look at the width there. Look at them. I mean, they're eating the whole road. They also, I love this video right here. It was so funny because you see people having to get over into the grass to try, and they kept saying, oh, these people they're stalking us. They're filming us. That's why they pulled over. It's like, no, those people They're trying to let you buy, you weirdos. So, yeah, but yeah, all those old videos, man, they really did give you reference points. McDev, thanks for the 5. Gee, does that mean that they actually gave the family the money? I doubt that. Yeah, very much doubt that. Very much doubt it as well. You know, it's crazy. Brazilla, thanks for the 5 there. Chisel the word warrant on the bench. And the ecosystem, they won't come within 1,000 feet of it. That's right. Merry Christmas. Also, Merry Benchmas, you know. Just remember, it is also Merry Benchmas. Let's pull up. We should have had the memorial, not memorial fund up here. That's right. Merry Benchmas. I love that. I think it's funny. Trina, thanks for the 4 months there. Thank you. Thank you for 4 months. Appreciate that. Again, there's not a statement, but that is a huge statement. I always say that, like, it's not, but it is, because I'm saying with that, I hope it comes across. I very much appreciate you all. You know, I mean, again, you all make this, you make it where we can cover it all the time. I sit down. Do you realize how long it takes to go through these the transcripts here and to point out all this garbage? I go through all these transcripts. I mark them, but I mark parts. Then, like, I believe they're probably collecting that for evidence, or this for evidence, or that, since they say that they want to attack us all stuff. Yeah. It'll be good. You'll have a fun time. Travis, thanks for the where I come from, being called a PDF, I'll get you dead. Yes, indeed. Somebody comes out here, like, those are dangerous words to call a person, for real. Like, if somebody came up to you and started calling you that stuff, it has a true connotation. You're calling somebody an absolute monster. That's not, you know, they talk about, well, don't call anybody specific words or somebody could get hurt, right? Well, those are the kind of words that get people really hurt. So doing that, it blows my mind there. Hey, what's up? By the way, Joy sent 30 through Venmo and said, split this between the girls. Well, thank you. You know, actually, my oldest, so for Christmas, she loves insects. As she says, I love bugs all the time, right? You hear her every time you see her, I love bugs. Well, she's gotten into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because of the fly on there, Baxter Stockman, you know, the scientist that turns into a fly. So today I ordered a figure, a Super 7 figure, which is a big articulated one, you know, that's about, I found it on eBay for about $31 plus. So I think I'm going to get her. There's a place down here that has other little figures. I'll probably get her some other ones with it. She'll like that. K-Rab. Man, K-Rab, what's up, my man? Thank you for the 50. Thank you, K-Rab. That's amazing. Appreciate that for the girls for Christmas. Well, thank you. They will definitely appreciate it. And I very much appreciate it. Like I said, I got sent, when packages come, the letters especially, it's not just the thought that people put into them, but it's some of the letters people send. You know, there's been for some of the stuff that goes on in life, you know, some days all of us have like a weird off days. And when I'm having an off day, especially, I had a group of packages come that they were really thoughtful, and the way that they were put together, you know, the letters in them and stuff, I don't know, they hit me right in the feels one day. So like I said, I appreciate you all. Like stuff with Christmas, or sometimes it's just Tuesday-mas, you know, and it's really nice. Monica, thanks for 5. Wasn't Jeremy in Ohio and the crap was stolen? I can't remember where he was particularly with that. The thing is, here's their problem. They made accusations about stealing based on a blurry, grainy video of taillights. That's their proof. Their proof, grainy taillight video. If there was any proof that there was actually something stolen, you know what would happen? You would have had Levy County lock them up in a heartbeat. but there was no proof whatsoever. You saw them when they went to the police. They tried to get them with anything. They were like, oh, what can I do to get them locked up? And then they were shocked, by the way, when Tina's running her big freaking mouth with Tina and Brian there and all the other people that were there. They were freaking shocked. And they found out, oh, he's going to get a hold of that footage. But it told you if they had any real proof, they would have utilized it. But they have nothing. Nothing at all. JC, thanks for the 2. I see the reliable narrator. When did that happen? I know. Look, freaking Cook. They've been going back through between him and oh my God, between him and Bone Crusher. They have created some of the most insane narratives I've ever seen as of late. I mean, some of the looniest stuff. And they wanted to go back and re-narrate a bunch of events that happened. And they like to do that because, well, a lot of people will believe them on that. Oh, man. Emma, oh, you finished. I'll bring that up tomorrow. As you can see, my freaking thing does not want a screenshot, so I cannot bring up a screenshot, or I would. I'd go pull it. But I'm excited. I can't wait to look at it. I'm looking at it right now. Actually, what am I saying? Let me look right now. Oh, that's awesome. That is freaking awesome. That is so much work. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it when folks make stuff and they send it over and I get to hang them on my walls or, so I've gotten cool pictures. My my room down here, it's a big area, like this office room. But man, it is full of stuff like that. And I love it. Thank you. I absolutely adore that. It's awesome. I'll bring it up tomorrow, like I say. Angela, thanks for the 2. Love to tug, kids, Mon, Chad. Need you to know, hey, love to you too, for real. I very much mean that too, I very much mean that. You're sometimes my only reason to laugh. Hey, stuff goes like that both ways. Like I said, we all have off days some days. All of us, and some of us have a lot going on, and I mean that with yourself, with everything. And I'm glad we get to get together and laugh at stupid people and have fun. Because it's not just about laughing at these stupid people. It's also, it's allowed people to come together and to build things off the backs of their stupid. And I love that. I absolutely love it. It makes a fun show too, But hey, love to you for real. If you're feeling, like I said, I know a lot of people especially in holiday times. I know there are a lot of you out there that holidays are rough. I will do my best to be here every day. I cannot guarantee it every single time, but I try. Health may slip on me one day or something, but barring that, I'll be here every day, So I definitely try for it. Dirt of Hurdles, thank you for the gifted membership there. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Love those little turtles, by the way. I love turtles. I need to get another box turtle. I haven't had one in a long time. And who's your daddy? Great show, Tug. Tuesday. Indeed. I'm telling you, Tuesday, we will go all in. We will have a heck of a time with it. And that is no false bravado. I know, like I said, some people are like, just do it now. No. Everything happens in its own time. It needs to happen Tuesday. There's a reason I want it to happen Tuesday. There's a personal reason I want it to happen Tuesday. But there are other things that I'm considering too, Otherwise, I would have already gone forward with it. But like I said, again, huge stuff. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer you to Flashcast. Now, Flashcast again, Yellow Flash, good friend of mine. Appreciate him. That place over there, if you offend easy, don't go over there and get offended for no reason. But if you want to go laugh at stupid people, have a great time, go and goof off, Just again, they talk about everything from social issues, politics, whatever. You may not agree, but you can say what you want and have a good time. So I appreciate you folks. I'm going to end here, and we'll see you tomorrow. It'll be earlier. Remember, earlier tomorrow.